Level 1. The contract. You sit across from a recruiter in a strip mall office. He talks about travel, about purpose, about being part of something bigger than yourself. You sign your name. Delayed entry program. 9 months later, you're standing in an airport with one bag and no idea what's coming. You tell your mom you'll call when you can. You don't know yet how long, when you can really means. Level 2. The bus. Midnight. Great Lakes, Illinois. A bus with blacked-out windows pulls onto base. The doors open. A man in a campaign cover starts screaming before your foot touches the ground. Bags dumped. Name shouted wrong. Feet on painted footprints. You realize the version of you that existed yesterday doesn't exist here. That version stays on the bus. Level 3. The breakdown. Week 1. They shave your head. They take your phone. They take your name and give you a number. You sleep in a room with 80 strangers who cry at 2 a.m. and don't know you can hear them. You learn to fold a shirt to the inch. You learn push-ups have no end point. You call home once. You don't know what to say. You hang up feeling worse. You wonder if this was a mistake. Level 4. The deep end. Third week. They march you all to the base pool in formation, boots still on until the last second. You strip down to a uniform swimsuit that makes you feel like a recruit and nothing else. 3-meter tower. You jump feet first into water that feels colder than it should. You tread water for 5 minutes in full uniform, sleeves heavy, boots dragging you down. A sailor 2 lanes over panics and gets pulled out by an instructor. Nobody laughs. Everyone understands. You pass. You climb out shaking, and for the first time you believe the ocean might actually try to kill you one day. You respect it a little more now. Level 5. The uniform. 8 weeks in. Battle stations. The Navy's final test before they call you a sailor. 12 hours. No sleep. Simulated fires. Simulated floods. Simulated death. You carry a shipmate on your back through smoke that isn't real, but feels real enough. At sunrise, they hand you a ball cap that says United States Navy. You put it on. For the first time, you feel like you earned something. Level 6. The schoolhouse. A school. Months of classrooms that smell like coffee and fear. You're learning a rate now. A job. A skill that keeps a ship alive. Reactors. Radar. Weapon systems. Engines the size of houses. You fail a test. You retake it. You fail again. The instructor tells you the fleet doesn't care about your feelings, just your competence. You start studying like your life depends on it. Eventually, it will. Level 7. The orders. You open an envelope that decides the next 3 years of your life. A hull number. A home port. A ship you've never seen. You pack everything you own into 2 sea bags. You fly across the country alone. You stand on a pier looking up at 500 feet of gray steel. Somewhere inside that hull is your rack, your job, your new family. You don't know any of them yet. Level 8. Reporting aboard. You salute the flag. You salute the officer of the deck. You request permission to come aboard. A senior sailor walks you through steel passageways that all look the same. Pipes overhead. Watertight doors. A smell of diesel and steel you'll never fully wash out of your clothes. Your rack is a coffin-sized space stacked 3 high. You lie down that first night and listen to the ship breathe around you. You are one of 5,000 people now, and also completely alone. Level 9. The qualifications. They hand you a book. Hundreds of systems. Hundreds of signatures required. You have 90 days to qualify or you lose your liberty. You walk the ship at 3 a.m., chasing down watchstanders for signatures. You trace pipes with a flashlight until your rate makes sense in your hands, not just your head. You fail your first board. You feel like quitting. You come back the next week and pass. Level 10. The first underway. Lines are cast off. The pier gets smaller behind you. Land disappears. Nothing but water in every direction. You stand your first watch, terrified of pressing the wrong button on a multi-million-dollar system. The chief watching you doesn't say much, just enough to keep you from breaking something. 12-hour watches. 4 hours of sleep. Repeat. You start to understand this life eats normal schedules alive. Level 11. The storm. 40-foot seas. The ship rolls until gear breaks loose and slides across the deck. You're strapped into your rack, listening to steel groan like it might not hold. Sailors throw up in buckets. Nobody sleeps. The chief tells you the ship was built for worse than this. You don't fully believe him. You survive anyway. By morning, the sea is flat again, like nothing happened. Level 12. The distance. Months at sea. No cell service. Email once a day if the satellite cooperates. You miss your sister's wedding. You miss a funeral. You find out both after the fact. You write letters you're not sure will ever matter. You watch married sailors stare at photos of kids growing up without them. You start to understand the real cost of this uniform isn't paid in danger. It's paid in time you never get back. Level 13. The promotion. You make petty officer third class. More pay, more respect, more responsibility. You're no longer the newest sailor in the work center. Someone junior reports to you now. You train them the way you were trained. Hard, but fair. You start to understand leadership isn't rank. It's what people do when you're not watching. Your first paycheck with the new rate feels different in your hand. You've earned a small piece of this ship. Level 14, the deployment. 6 months, Middle East, 5th Fleet. The heat on the flight deck can blister skin through boots. You stand watch during real-world tasking, not drills. Radios crackle with information you're told never to repeat. You start to understand this job isn't hypothetical anymore. Somewhere out there, this ship matters to people who will never know your name. Level 15, the alarm. 3 a.m. General quarters alarm rips through the ship. This one isn't a drill. You sprint through passageways in the dark, dodging sailors half-dressed and fully awake. Your battle station is a repair locker 3 decks down. Nobody tells you what's happening. You just move. 20 minutes later, the all-clear sounds. A false contact, a close call, a reminder. You realize how thin the line is between routine and disaster out here. Level 16, the responsibility. Petty officer second class now. You run a small team. Their qualifications are your problem. Their mistakes reflect on you. You start losing sleep over things that aren't your fault, just your responsibility. A junior sailor makes an error that could have hurt someone. You take the heat for it in front of the chief. You defend your sailor anyway. That's the job now. Leadership stops feeling like a rank. It starts feeling like weight. Level 17, the money. Re-enlistment options land on your desk. A bonus with 6 figures if you sign for 6 more years. You do the math. Housing allowance, C-pay, hazard pay, tax-free income overseas. Civilian friends your age are drowning in debt. You're debt-free with money saved. But every dollar comes with a cost measured in birthdays missed and holidays spent at sea. You sign anyway. The Navy is the only life you know how to live now. The check clears. The commitment locks in. Level 18, the incident. A fire breaks out in an engineering space during a routine watch. Smoke fills the passageway before the alarm even finishes sounding. You grab an OBA, mask up, and move toward the danger instead of away from it. That's the training talking, not courage. You help contain it before it spreads to a fuel line. Command commends the response. You don't feel like a hero. You feel like you almost didn't make it home. That night, you finally understand what hazard pay is actually paying for. Level 19, the man overboard. The call comes over the 1MC. Man overboard, port side. The ship turns hard. Every available hand mans the rails, scanning black water under floodlights. 45 minutes. It feels like 4 hours. They find him, cold, exhausted, alive. You realize the ocean doesn't care about rank, deployment schedules, or how many years you've served. It only takes one mistake, one wave, 1 second of bad luck. Level 20, the loss. A shipmate you trained doesn't come home from a mishap during flight ops. The flag drops to half-mast. The mess deck goes quiet in a way you've never heard before. You attend a memorial at sea. His boots, his rifle, his cover, arranged on the deck. You realize the Navy isn't a career. It's a life where the cost is sometimes final. You keep standing watch anyway, because the ship doesn't stop, and neither can you. Something in you changes that day. Quieter, heavier, permanent. Level 21, the chief. Years pass. You make chief petty officer, the most respected rank in the enlisted Navy. 6 weeks of initiation that breaks you down and rebuilds you into something the mesh trusts. You pin on your anchors in front of your family, who barely recognize the person standing there. Now junior sailors look at you the way you once looked at your chief. You carry every one of their problems now. Personal, professional, sometimes life or death. The weight doesn't get lighter with rank. It just changes shape. Level 22, the command. You're running a division now. 20 sailors' careers in your hands. Their qualifications, their advancement, their mistakes. All yours to manage. You counsel a struggling sailor through a hard personal crisis late at night in an empty berthing compartment. You write him up for a violation the next month because the standard doesn't bend for sympathy. Leadership at this level isn't about being liked. It's about keeping people on track long enough to become who they're capable of being. You start to understand why your chiefs looked so tired all the time. Level 23, the cost at home. 20 years in. Your kids grew up mostly on video calls with a 2-second satellite delay. Your marriage survived deployments most marriages don't. You missed birthdays, graduations, a family funeral you couldn't fly home for in time. The Navy gave you money, purpose, a chest full of ribbons. It also took years you'll never get back from people you love most. You start to wonder what the trade was really worth. Level 24, the decision. Retirement paperwork sits on your desk. 20 years qualifies you for a pension. You could stay, make senior chief, chase one more rank, one more deployment, one more decade. You look at your family standing on the pier the last time you came home from sea. You sign the paperwork. At your retirement ceremony, they play the national anthem one final time as active duty. You salute the flag knowing this is the last time you'll do it in uniform. Final level, the legacy. Civilian life feels strange, quiet. Nobody yells orders at 5 a.m. anymore. You keep your uniform in a garment bag you can't bring yourself to throw away. Years later, your own kid sits across from a recruiter in a strip mall office. You want to warn them about the storms, the losses, the years that don't come back. You also remember the version of yourself that walked off that bus a stranger and came home a chief. You say nothing. You just nod, because some things can only be learned by living every level yourself.